Go to your, hello, people at home. Go to your pink court case paper, and we're going to go through some of these cases together. I think it's important that you hear the story of them, in addition to just filling out the paper mindlessly. It's business time. I've got my business socks on. We are being recorded. Business socks. Look up the song Flight of the Conchords, Business Time. You'll understand the reference. Huh? Those are business socks and your business Crocs. I got the mad flow. I'm the hip hopopotamus. My lyrics are bottomless. Okay. Alright. Korematsu! You can put Japanese people in camps during times of war. Shh. We never learned this in class. No one ever presented it. It was removed from the list this year. Shh. Because APGov took it off the important list. This was ruled okay. Ooh, I don't like what it does to the formatting. Shh. Don't disrespect me.
That's still okay?
Well, we just haven't had another case since the 40 whatever about it. But the idea was that what FDR did was allowable, which is a little gross, right?
Yeah. So it's a lot gross. Wanted to put it down.
No, don't interpret it like that. Focus. Focus. Hey, not everything has a constitutional justification, so we're gonna, like, sometimes we leave it blank. Okay, what about it? Are you there? I'm always there. Yo! Shh. Brown v. Board. You can't segregate public schools. Do we have Brown v. Board over here? Overturned Plessy case. Danny, we're being quiet and respectful. Now, this is the part I'd like you to use your brains. What part of the Constitution did Brown v. Board use? What? Oh, I gotta fix this formatting too. I know, I'm just fixing.
Okay, so question.
Yep.
Okay, so that's like the technical term, but like on the quiz we can do it that way. How you're typing it out.
Yes. Why can I not spell? Protection. There it is. Okay. The order here is random. Focus, troubled corner. Not a whole lot.
Is Plessy v. Ferguson also under the force of the...
Yes. But it was just a sad version. Alright. Maddie Kobe. Plessy v. Ferguson established separate but equal. This is the guy, Plessy. Dude, Keith and Thomas, if I say the names again, we're gonna have to make a change here. And if you want to go to Gilbert's now, now's the time. Go. I'm tired of having to, now the video's going. It's business time. I got business socks. Let's stop. Okay? Plessy v. Ferguson is the guy on the train car who was 1/8 black, and they segregated him, and the court said, yeah, that's fine. Even if it's not a happy ending, if it's not what you expect, it's still the same amendment. Equal protection. Was there a question? Okay, you guys are good? All right. On the key, there is no New York Times versus U.S., so this is where you really want to pay attention. New York Times versus U.S. was where the Pentagon Papers were printed. This was ruled okay. Classified docs can be printed in paper. So it's First Amendment. Why is that a problem? Because that's, you know, imagine if you're president and they're printing like our war plans and stuff. I'm filming a video right now. Griswold v. Connecticut is about birth control. You have a right to privacy. I'm going to call that 9th Amendment, but it's one of those cases where they used a whole bunch of amendments. Cool. I'm not necessarily looking super close at the left, or I guess the right key. The one on the right is probably more in line with what I want you to put, but I'm not checking it constantly. Is Wainwright spelled wrong?
Yeah.
Is there two W's in Wainwright? I don't know. There's a little post-it on there. Gideon v. Wainwright is about a lawyer. I'll copy this over. State courts are required to provide a lawyer in a criminal case if you can't afford your own lawyer.
6.
Yeah, we can get fancy sometimes and write down 6 via the 14th. Because everything is via the 14th, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But really what matters is the, 6th. You have a 6th Amendment right to a lawyer? Okay, I mentioned that we're out of order. Marbury v. Madison is the very first court case, the very first one to use judicial review of the Supreme Court. And we don't care about the case. It was boring about, papers being delivered or something. So we're just going to say, first case to use judicial review. And it, established it. This does not fit. There's no constitutional justification. It does not really fit. Thank you guys for respecting my... It's for learning. It's for learning. There's nowhere in the Constitution where they have the words judicial review, so we can't really say that it was in the Constitution. McCulloch v. Maryland. Remember that I always care less about the story than I do about the importance. So if you're wondering, when we take the test, if you write down black guy in a train car, you're not going to get the points because you need to talk about segregation and stuff. It's not about the story, it's about the impact. Segregation was allowed. It created separate but equal. That's the important part. So when we're doing our tests in class, I care about why it matters. McCulloch v. Maryland. It's the bank one? Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it on here. There it is. The state of Maryland didn't like how there was a bank, a federal bank. I took it off because it doesn't matter. They didn't like how there was a federal bank. It bothered them. And so they tried to tax the bank to get rid of it. I also think of a quote in this, the power to tax is the power to kill. But they lost. You can't tax the federal government. What clause in the Constitution? Very good. Supremacy clause. The federal government is supreme. Barron v. Baltimore. Is this the dock? Yep.
Yeah.
The guy's dock got messed up by Baltimore. They dumped a bunch of sand in it. It ruined his business. It's pretty messed up. They refused to pay him. And then he's like, my 5th Amendment says you need to pay me. But this is a really old case. It's 18-something. And this is before the Bill of Rights was incorporated. So it's a 5th Amendment because of eminent domain, but he loses. Because they say the eminent domain doesn't apply to Baltimore, it just applies to Washington, D.C. No, but to ruin it is to sort of take it.
They paid him.
Yeah, they did pay it. Or one of the courts said pay him and they did, and then it got reversed. I mean, clearly they should pay him. The right thing to do. Matt v. Ohio, one of the very important cases in this class. I also think we know it pretty good. You can't grab evidence without a warrant. So, exclusionary rule, illegally obtained evidence can't be used against you. 4th Amendment, yeah. Next up is a case we never learned this year. It was about boats that were competing with each other, and one was like a federal boat and one was like a state boat. It was businesses. It's like they had license, whatever. At the end of the day, the federal won because the federal government could regulate commerce, making it Commerce Clause. On the little post-it note.
Alright, sir. Sorry for the,
It's okay. Do you need this or what?
do I? Should I tell you what
I think you do.
Thank you.
Reynolds.
After the day we didn't speak.
Which one? It's right there.
Still recording.
Yep. Reynolds.
The polygamy case.
Reynolds, we only recently learned about it. It was about polygamy. It says that the First Amendment does not protect you from doing illegal things. In this case, it was polygamy. It's a First Amendment case. Polygamy is having multiple wives. It's an old case, 18-something, 1879 or something old. No, that's too old. 1898, I don't know. It's old. Shank is... Yep. No. If you only wrote this, I'd be fine. Yeah, it won't be any harder than that.
But it's like all of them?
I might cut like 5 or 6, like Gibbons. I might cut Gibbons.
Okay.
I might limit it down to just the ones we've actually presented on. But again, were you here the other day?
I was here Wednesday with that.
That's fine, but the way we did the amendment case will be like this, sort of. I know it's a little daunting, but I would say this is harder than the amendment one. I don't know. There's more quantity than there is amendments. There's more than 27 cases. Maybe not till the day of. No, I'm saying I think it'll be harder. Yeah. Yeah. To me that matters like a ton. Yep.
Wait, Mr. Robinson, this is what our test is going to look like?
Not today. Well, no.
I'm saying for like the
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
This is what our test is going to look like?
Yeah. It may be minus like 5 cases.
Is it going to be like the amendments one where we can like take
Yes.
it off?
Okay, people at home watching, you will the court case test will be just like the amendment when you get multiple tries, but I might take 5 cases off. Okay, Shank v. US is about. Again, we don't. Do you even remember the story of why the guy got in trouble? He was a socialist, and he was giving out. Was he against the draft?
Yeah, he was.
But notice, I don't even talk about that in my description because it doesn't really matter. What matters is freedom of speech can be limited when speech inflicts. That's weird. How about affects national security? This is the fire in theater one. And it's a First Amendment. Yeah. Get Low came right around the same time. I think, if I remember, this guy is like also writing about stuff in the paper that's kind of like socialist also? I don't know. No? What was he doing? Socialism, communism. Yeah, pretty similar. Similar to socialism. It's weird because he lost the case, but what we said was the First Amendment would now be applied via the 14th. This is the very first one. Real, like capital letters, created selective incorporation. First via 14th. You gotta say both of that. First via 14th, because it's the very first time. Heart of Atlanta is the one I mentioned earlier. You can't well, what did I say on here? Yeah, that sounds good. I like this better. Congress can use the Constitution's Commerce Clause to force private businesses to abide by the Civil Rights Act. So this is segregation in private businesses. So you can no longer refuse to serve African Americans. This was a guy who owned a hotel, the Heart of Atlanta Motel, and he refused to serve African Americans, and then the Civil Rights Act had been passed that said you must serve African Americans. That can't be the reason you don't serve somebody. And he's like, well, it is. Sue me. And they did. And kind of shocked. I was talking with class earlier, but I know I just started recording the video. It's kind of shocking in a way that they won, because the legal standing of the Commerce Clause is supposed to just be interstate, and this guy just had a motel in Atlanta. But they said Commerce Clause. It's supposed to be interstate Commerce Clause. But the argument was his hotel was along the freeway, the interstate highway. Like, imagine the 15 freeway goes to Las Vegas. Because your motel is along the 15 freeway, you have to listen to the Civil Rights Act.
But if it wasn't?
I don't know. We have an exact... I don't know. The thing is that the Civil Rights Act... The question is, what about the guy that won't serve gay people now, and he got away with it?
No.
The thing is, the Civil Rights Act was about racism and race. There is no law, federal law, protecting gay people in this country. Believe it or not. It's kind of shocking.
Certain gay people, just not for a
Gay wedding. Miranda v. Arizona, you have the right to remain silent. Where you at, Miranda? Right here. Miranda warnings must be given before questioning. What amendment?
Fifth.
If you want to get fancy, 5th via the 14th. And it's not equal protection because it's not protecting a group or something, so what is it?
Due process.
Due process. You're right about the 5th, but I'm talking about the 14th. Tinker v Des Moines, a case I told you I think will be on the test. These are students wearing black armbands at school to protest the Vietnam War. Tinker, 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 tinker. There it is. Students do have the right to protest at school. This is what allowed kids to walk out last year. The school respected your right to do it. They didn't put up a fight or anything.
But they can't do it, like, they can restrict what you say in the newspaper.
Yeah. The protest needs to not be affecting... Like, wearing a black armband doesn't affect my ability to teach or anything. But if you're standing up in class screaming at me like, Vietnam people are dying, then I can...
You can't get in trouble for, like, not being in class, right? Like,
Yeah, sort of.
They can punish you with these stuff.
You can't be punished any different than a kid who was not in class and not protesting.
because I was confused. I was like,
Who are we talking about who ditches class all the time? So you need to be hurt the same. Does he ever get punished?
wait, who did this?
I can't say the name. We were talking about him earlier. Anyway, he ditches all the time.
That's the person.
If he doesn't get punished, then you can't punish kids for walking out either.
Oh, I didn't think that.
I don't want you to say the name. Okay, next.
That's
Texas v. Johnson is flag burning. It's allowed.
I don't.
Lemon. Lemon is the lemon test. I talked about it recently when we did a lecture on religion, Danny. The lemon test is when you look at a law and decide if it violates the government's establishment clause, kind of. For a law to be considered constitutional under the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment, a law must pass the lemon test. U.S. v. Nixon, he wanted to use executive privilege to hide his Watergate tapes. He failed. Where are you, Nixon? He cannot use executive privilege to cover up a crime. This one has no justification. I got nothing. I mean, maybe it does. I'm just not. It doesn't matter enough, and I'm not a constitutional scholar, so. Next up is a case we have never looked at. I know. I'm going quick, huh?
Yeah.
I'll talk about it, though, since we never looked at it, and you have time to catch up. Furman v. Georgia, it was a death penalty case. Used to be on the list of AP Gov court cases that we needed to teach, but it's been removed. In the 70s or early 80s, they noticed that the death penalty was being used disproportionately on African Americans. Still today, that's a problem. And the judges sort of told all the states, stop doing the death penalty unfairly. The way you're doing it is cruel and unusual punishment for African Americans. And then all the states were like, oh crap, what does that mean? And everyone just like stopped executing people for several years. And then they started up again and nobody stopped them. It's not like a super important case, but it's kind of historically fascinating that they kind of stopped the death penalty for a while. And then somebody started and no one stopped them, and then everyone's like, oh, we can do it again, and then they started doing it again. But basically, it made race be something you really got to pay attention to when you're putting someone to death. Like, make sure that nothing was racist about the trial. Was the jury all white? You know, like stuff like that. We had to make sure we were being fair in using the death penalty. I'm not telling you that we fixed it because it's still a mess. It still is majority African American.
About that 19-year-old I got who's got committed to death on me?
No.
This youngest person I knew.
Really?
He's on death row. For what? He killed somebody. Look at that. It's pretty wild, actually. He's using carry sovereign.
Miller v. California. This is a case that used to be fun to teach for kids, but I took it off the list because AP Gov took it off the list. This guy was mailing ads for his porn book to people that didn't want the ad, you know, like to everybody. And some people didn't want. Some people were probably happy. Some people were not happy. Like mailing it, like buy my porn book. And he's like, well, it's part of my freedom of speech. And they said, no, it's not. So I think on the study guide I have a question, is obscenity protected? The answer is no. Yeah. It is like Vegas. There's barely. Roe v. Wade, the case your parents would think of first when I said name a court case. The case most Americans would think of first. And I'm going to argue it's 9th Amendment. Privacy. Ooh, this is a new one that's fun. Hobby Lobby. Who knows what Hobby Lobby is? Are they open tomorrow?
No.
Why? Because they're a private Christian business. Let's talk about that. Like Chick-fil-A. So, Hobby Lobby is a sort of like Michael's or something. They have, you know, it's big. It's kind of interesting. They got home decor and stuff. So Hobby Lobby, Danny, Nico, Hobby Lobby is Christian owned. Try to follow me here. Obama created Obamacare, right? And in Obamacare, he told every business, if you have more than like 100 employees, you need to offer them good health plans. And the woman's health plan, you have to offer them like birth control pills on the health plan. It doesn't mean Hobby Lobby needs birth control pills in the break room. It just means that like, hey, if I work at Hobby Lobby and I go to the doctor, my doctor needs to be able to give me birth control and have it covered under my plan. Which like every plan in America basically every plan in America had to offer women's health for free, built into the plan. Kind of to me seems like, okay, that sounds normal. It's up to you if you want to take no one's making you take birth control, just want to be clear. Hobby Lobby said, this is offensive to our Christian values to make us offer birth control to our employees. We think that's a sin and it's bad. So they sued Obamacare and it went to the federal government and they won or lost? They won. Shockingly, because we have a conservative court today. And they decided that if you're a Christian business, you can opt out of healthcare requirements that you disagree with on a religious grounds.
Wow.
I know. It was a wow for me. I was like, there's no way they'll win. They did use the First Amendment. So here we go. A for-profit corporation is not required to provide their employees with contraception if the owner objects on religious grounds. But the thing is that, like, not everyone who works at Hobby Lobby is a Christian. It's complicated. It's It's a little tricky.
That is very tricky.
Also, to me, Hobby Lobby suing is different than, say, like the Catholic Church. You know, like, I could see siding with the Catholic Church. Personally, for me, I think that's kind of a strange
Are they Catholic or
outcome.
one denomination?
Hobby Lobby?
Yeah.
They're Protestant Christian.
We can't really sue.
No, what I'm saying is the Catholic Church could sue the government. Like the Archdiocese of Los Angeles sue because they don't want to provide the nuns with birth control. Like that makes sense to me because it's a church and a business.
That's just a regular.
But Hobby Lobby is a public, not public.
How did it work for that?
It worked.
Well, okay, I don't think nuns want birth control anyway.
Well, that's why I think they have a strong argument.
Yeah.
I don't think Hobby Lobby does.
I mean,
I think they do.
like, I don't get it.
Like, why did they let that happen?
Yeah, like,
I know, it's
what are they
shocking.
losing with why
Because
having that
it's
in
like they're like so moral.
What's wrong with birth control? All it does is regulate your hormones.
It's your choice.
Also, women need birth control and it can have nothing to do
Well, they
with
don't-
kids.
Well, yeah, it can be for your
Regulate your
like,
period.
For a lot of things, but like even like well, from my opinion at least, like even for that stuff, like you shouldn't be doing it.
You could argue that Hobby Lobby, two different things. Hobby Lobby didn't like Obamacare. Like many businesses, you know, they don't want to spend more money than they have to. So they want to like take it, this is a chance for them to kind of take it down. Although it didn't take it down, it took it down a little bit.
So then the women that work there still have birth control, but they just get the purchase, right? Oh,
They're,
okay.
it won't be
On their
covered
own.
by the insurance.
It won't be covered from their job.
Yeah,
Hobby Lobby though, like that's just so weird.
Yeah, a little shocking.
And it's their choice, it's the person's choice. Like,
Yeah, it's a person's choice. They're
I mean, yeah.
yeah, but it's a very known
No one's like.
public establishment.
But basically that, Obamacare added that because he didn't want to leave it up to businesses because in his mind, women's health should just be covered 100% all the
That's
time.
his mind.
Yeah.
It's not like a,
I know. Okay, Oregon v. Smith is the guys that smoked peyote and they got fired and they wanted to get rehired and they lost. Or they wanted unemployment and they lost. It was First Amendment religion. We never learned about New Jersey v. TLO. This was a girl. This case applies to some of you guys. This was a girl that was like caught in the bathroom and it smelled like weed. And so they went through her bag. She was like, I do not consent to searches. And they're like, okay, I don't care. And they went through her backpack. They didn't find weed, they found cigarettes. And so she got in trouble for the cigarettes. But she sued like this was an unreasonable search and seizure. I bet you guys can predict how that goes based on what our school does.
Yeah, she lost.
Yeah, like, it had to do with the Fourth Amendment. Doesn't really protect students at high school and below.
And don't they even have probable cause? 'Cause
I do. I like that we can search your bags and stuff if like phones are missing or smells like weed or whatever. Even if we're wrong more than half the time, I'm glad that I like the drug dog. I don't know how much the drug dog actually accomplishes anything. Does it?
I've never even have it in my classroom
Post it on
once.
Snapchat and they like call each other and text.
And then they're like, I gotta go to the bathroom.
No, they catch people all the time.
Do they catch them all the time?
Yeah, at first there was so interesting to me. It would just be like, and people were coming in one after the other.
Oh.
Busting them with their huge like bags and stuff.
Oh, wow. What's in the huge bag? You're like something.
I'm not allowed to say these.
Not allowed to say?
it's food.
Technically, it's supposed to be confidential.
It's not like you're saying you have
Well, it's not like you're on video, so just speak up. Okay. You never did say anything.
What is the right to bring something?
Shaw v Reno. Is it not on this paper over here? Shaw v Reno is about racial gerrymandering. Do we have Shaw v Reno?
Yes.
Someone presented it, right?
So they can't check bags and phones?
No. I don't think they can check your bags and phones.
But if you go to a private school,
Because you're minors. And you're around, even if you're 18, you're around minors. You want that? It's over there.
wait, what if you go to a private school, like for college?
Probably they could do it, I guess.
Do you think it'd be like in like a contract or something?
Bye. All right. Shh. I am right on this, right? Shaw V Reno? Probably. I like that answer. Okay. US v. Lopez was the weird one about the kid brought a gun to school and there was a federal law, no guns in school, which makes sense, but the federal government argued it in a strange way because they always argued commerce in the past and it worked for them. They did it again and the court had become so conservative they're like, nah. And I kind of agree on paper, it's a weird argument. Anything that's not by an interstate highway. Yeah. I keep trying to use us as an example, but we are by an interstate highway. Then I started to think, what's not by an interstate highway?
Like you have to be in the middle of farmlands.
Like the 91 freeway is not an interstate highway. It only is in California.
Yeah. But still, like, fixing it. There's all
I guess as you go west, there's less interstate highways.
There's also less civilization.
No, west is good. West is Huntington Beach and all
West
that.
is the ocean.
Well, okay, if that's what you meant, yes.
You're right. There's no civilization in the.
Ingle V Vitali, where are you, Ingle?
Sorry.
No state-sponsored prayer in public school. What amendment?
First.
Citizens United. You can spend as much outside money as you want on elections if you don't give it to the person, if you just run commercials on your own. One of Mr. Robinson's least liked court cases. Please, somebody fix this. One of you guys. What amendment allows you to spend unlimited? First. Speech. Lawrence v. Texas, not a case I want to explain too in depth. This is the one I told you guys the funny drama story about the three men and one guy went to get food. He came back and he was surprised by something occurring. Called the police and made a fake police report. Maddie, do you really not know? Oh, you're messing with me. This falls under your 9th Amendment privacy. Someone might have been absent, but there was many laws in many states that, and this is in 2003, guys, that said you couldn't have gay sex.
How are they going to regulate that?
Well, if they ever run across it, it'd be a crime. And that's the thing is they rarely ran across it. It was almost a law like just to have a law like, we don't like gay people. Welcome to Texas, you know? But then, when they do run across it, they have to enforce the law. And they did run across it, and they enforced the law, and the court said, yeah, you can't do that. But this eliminated dozens of states that had this as a law, believe it or not. It wasn't just Texas.
Okay, it's illegal for you to do it in public. So what if you're at home or like religion?
It's illegal to do anything in public, even if it's straight. No.
That's your privacy.
Yeah. I think that's okay. Obergefell v. Hodges, gay marriage. What amendment? What amendment allows gay marriage? What part of it? Are you getting to the point where it's common sense, like, oh yeah, two groups being treated unfairly, equal protection? That's why I let you have to fill in that column without my key. Can you guys sign the post-it though? What thing? There's the sign-up sheet. I realized I printed the wrong sheet. There's no time in or time out. I'm nervous. Well, usually I get the names approved. She never approved them. I realized, and I called her. I think she was out sick. So I don't know. I hope they accept my paper. Wisconsin v. Yoder is a brand new court case, so it's not on the right. AP Gov makes me do this one.
Blue wings, there's cupcakes, there's pizzas, tacos, and frozen treats. You guys can come out and buy stuff at 11.
Don't be telling them come at 11. 12:01, baby.
12:01. Alright, I like that.
Mr. Robinson, what if I just have to go to the bathroom?
Yeah. If I just have to go to the bathroom at 11, yeah. Will you be mad?
What amendment?
I don't think they'd be bad.
Amish, what amendment?
Say no. gonna take it until.
Oh, I thought we did Baker v. Carr, but we didn't. Bye. Form state districts fairly.
Is it prepared like with like the exchange and stuff inside of it?
What amendment? What amendment says that you can't have farm people more powerful than me?
Wait, what do you mean farm people?
That's easy for
Yeah. Yes. If you have somebody with more power than me, then it's equal protection. Buckley v. Vallejo. I honestly think in Buckley, the part that I make bold matters more than the other part. This is the part everyone remembers because it's kind of interesting, Trump related and stuff, but even though, he didn't really spend much of his own money. He loaned himself money and paid himself back. It's part of, you're allowed to do it. Rich people, like Mitt Romney did that. Like you loan your campaign $100 million and then as the donations pour in, you pay back your loan with the donations that pour in. So he didn't really spend any of his, I don't think, didn't spend any of his own money. And even then, if he's a billionaire, it was just like some millions, not too much. Yes? Probably. He made money.
He made money on his own campaign. Wow.
Well, I'm recording, so I gotta be careful, but they say that Trump, he ran because he wanted to get more wealth from the experience. Like, he didn't really expect to win the presidency. And I've heard that from lots of people that are, friends with him and like him. If you see his face on election night, he looks shocked. Have you seen that picture?
Yes.
Where he's like, what just happened? He was shocked. People think he was ready to launch, he wanted to launch Trump News Network, like his own news channel. Did you hear that? And then he won. I mean, it's smart. He was going to get rich. I mean, he has gotten rich, but I think he would have gotten more rich if he lost. Because then he would have made the channel and all. He might still go on to make the channel. I don't know. It's going to be interesting with him eventually, whether it's in 5 years or 1 year, him as a former president.
It's going to be more conservative Fox News.
Right. This is the First Amendment. Okay, UC Regents, we talk about this case to death today. Is it on here? Yeah. What does quotas violate? That's right. Protect join. Hazelwood is the school newspaper, and the principal was uncomfortable, and they said that's okay. Even if the First Amendment loses, it's still about the First Amendment. McDonald is not on the other paper. Yeah, it was like Chicago can't ban guns. States, local gov can't ban guns outright. And that would make it Second Amendment. What in the world? Oh, let me see. I should probably save this.
So that's just like the first time someone fought the government about that, and that's why now it's applied to us.
The Second Amendment? I think that like Chicago banning guns was one of the first times any place ever just tried to ban. Yeah, like I could be wrong, but I think that was a pretty new idea. It does seem like something you couldn't do. I don't think I don't think what they did was right, even though I think their heart was in the right place. No, they didn't get stricter. Yeah, I mean, if you know anything about Chicago, they have like the most murders in America, so they were trying to stop that. But Chicago's also proof that having tough gun laws doesn't stop people from going somewhere else, getting a gun, and coming back.
Yeah.
So, I think the moral of the story is if you want strict gun laws, they need to be nationwide, not in a place. You know,
Yeah, because
it's like Eastvale.
You have to make it a constitutional amendment.
Yeah, it's like Eastvale banning Monster. You think that people would stop drinking Monster in Eastvale? No, they would stop. Or Eastvale banning Starbucks.
They should, oh, no,
You know,
I'm okay.
that's a better example. I'm Monster, you're Starbucks. Anyway, bye bye.